Men going their own way are in hiding. Men going their own way are increasingly disappearing from society. Today's video comes from the Far From Eden channel. Her channel will be linked in the description so you can go check her out and support her content. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Welcome to Far From Eden. It's good to have you here. We know that men are walking away from relationships. We know that they are the gatekeepers of relationships. They're the ones that get to pick, so to speak. But they don't like the selection right now. And they're allowed to not like the selection right now. And a lot of times, I think, especially for me, I focus on maybe some of the older men that have, already been through the ringer, been through family court, been, divorced, etc. But what's going on with the younger generation? Has this trickled down to them? Are the younger men seeing what's gone on with the generations that went before them?
And guys, this kind of illustrates the situation with most modern women now. They don't realize that men have autonomy, men have agency, and men have intelligence. Men can see what's happening. Men are watching these videos online. Women see the same videos of men being taken advantage of by individuals in society, being used for food, being used for resources, being played, for Chad, Tyrone, and Little Poncho. And they then turn around and just act like it's not happening. And they wonder why all the men are walking away. Young men see what's happening, but then on top of it, young men would rather stay home and play games. It doesn't make any sense because they understand now also many of them realize that she never loved you. If you are a young man, you are not desirable because you have no money and you have no resources. Hence, the older men are going to be the ones who have resources that have the opportunity to date a younger woman who basically is going to select the person that's going to give her the most resources and access to the best time.
Because it appears that young men, Gen Z, as it were, which would be basically people in their 20s right now, they're not dating. And we're going to dive into why. The article was posted February 9th of this year, 2024, written by a gentleman named Daniel A. Cox. I did see his picture. He, to me, looks like a baby because, being older now, all the people who are young look like babies. He could be 28 for all I know. But the reason I say is it looks like he's of the generation that he is writing about. And he wrote an article. I like to tell you guys who the source is first so you can consider it. Not just, the internet told me. Because sometimes we've read articles about what men should be doing or what men are doing, and it's written by a woman. This is written by a man. As we read it, we will find out, we'll kind of be able to size him up a little bit. Daniel A. Cox, COX, he is the director of the Survey Center on American Life and a senior fellow in polling and public opinion at the American Enterprise Institute. And that is the publisher of this article. It was published on the website, survey website, Survey Center on American Life. But this is American Enterprise Institute project, so to speak. I had to hunt down because I figured out I don't think Google necessarily wants you to know who the source is. I think they just want you to look things up and go, the internet told me. Maybe not about this kind of information because I have not read the whole thing. I don't know. Is this Beta 5? Is this Symbology 101? I don't know yet. But I'm very curious to know what's going on with the younger men because that projects what the future will be. And they're not all going to be like Harrison Butker of the Kansas City Chiefs, who just did the commencement speech that seems to be rocking the world right now. All right. It's entitled Gen Z's Romance Gap.
A lot of women are saying that they don't care that men are leaving society. They didn't want them. There's a lot of panic happening right now. This is one of the reasons why women are demanding that video games be shut down, that men be barred from playing video games, or they're shaming men online for playing games. If you guys look at this post, this is obviously from this is obvious. This is just how women are thinking right now. Zeriel 100. The sad part, this was on my video, now they want us back. The sad part is that the enemy of the world, Satan and his rulers, want you alone, want you separated from society, and want society to collapse. So by following your selfish philosophy, they win. Real men need to fight evil and take women and society back, not give up and run away. So this has a picture of a woman, so presumably this is from a woman or a simp. And as you guys can see, now they're really going to demand that men step up and go save society, and they're going to say that we are not real men if we don't save women and society. Look at what he said. Real men need to fight evil and take women and society back. Take women and society back. Did I not tell you that women would say that women's liberation got us everything that we wanted? Now let's fight it together. I told you I don't want to use the F word, but that's exactly what's happening here. They're saying that, feminism got us everything that we wanted. Now let's fight it together. And of course, they're going to keep all the privileges and all the spoils, that they collected, but they don't want to face any of the consequences. And if we look at some of the comments, this actually had a lot of interactions, 435 likes on this. you know, Sandro says best way to get rid of a parasite is to no longer allow it access to the host. Godseed says, I'd rather just rebuild and start fresh. Donald says, real men don't need someone to tell us what to do. And he's absolutely right. Dinky says, they got exactly what they asked for. Not our fault. They change their minds when they don't like the results. Parrot says, don't reward people who take advantage of you. They can't. Seth says, why would I want to save a society that HATEs me and my kind? There you go. Because there's nothing that is HATE'd more than the heterosexual man in Western society. Daniel says, we can't wake up someone who is pretending to be asleep. Society doesn't want to be saved. Real men accept things as they are and act accordingly. Stop trying to save them. They don't want to be saved. I've talked about the example of Noah's Ark when the floodwaters came down and they began begging to get into the ark, despite being told that their wicked ways were going to lead to damnation and a flood was coming. Guys, they did not actually they were not seeking salvation when they tried to get into the ark. They were basically trying to avoid the flood, which were the consequences of the decisions that they made. They were wicked, and that is why they did not survive. They were not repenting for their evil ways. They were trying to avoid consequences that occurred because of their evil ways. And it's the exact same situation here, where you have these people who they will never repent. I have so many of these idiots who are like, I was a simp, but I refused to repent because I didn't know any better. Look at that. Plausible deniability. They will never take accountability. The people that are responsible for this, they're never going to take responsibility for it, and they have to learn basically the more difficult way that actions have consequences. I told you that they would say that feminism got us, the F word got us everything that we wanted. Now let's fight it together, and we can see what the consequences are now that they don't want to deal with the consequences. Don says, get the bears to fight. Scott says, Proverbs, it is better to live alone in the desert than with a quarreling and complaining wife. This comes from Proverbs 21:19. That is in the Bible. Guys, these stories of the Bible are not simply stories of the future. They are stories of the past. These are think about when the Bible was written. They were giving us recounts of history at that point. It is telling us the history of things that happened prior. Okay? So these are recordings that go back hundreds, even thousands of years before the Bible itself even takes place, before the Bible is written. It is not a recount of the present, it is a recount of the past. And history repeats itself because history rhymes, which is something that Mark Twain said. Leon says, you're nothing I want back. I'm building my own stuff. SF says, don't fall for it, guys. I'm saying this as a woman. Just protect your loved ones. Don't lay down your life for people who hate you. That's coming from a woman telling us that society and most of the individuals in society today that men are choosing not to have relationships with do not like us and hate us. And this is what I said men should do. Okay? Protect yourself, protect your loved ones, and leave the society alone. Let it, guys. This is whole. There's these idiots who are like, oh, you have to have honor. Do not be dishonorable. These people are idiots. These people are idiots. You know? Building says, I'm not giving up on society. I'm just giving up on Western American society. They can say I'm running away all they want. Oliver says, casting pearls before swine may lead to tennis elbow. Smashing says, God wouldn't want us to take just anyone. If we're meant to be with someone, then it'll happen in its own time. No need to settle for horrible individuals when good ones are worth the wait. Make says, maybe he doesn't realize that chivalry is no longer alive. Shaz says, well, if they want to get all biblical about it, the good book has a lot to say on how wives are supposed to conduct themselves. You know, Rhett S says, there's always one Satan at work. Rido says, get the beard to do it. Unknown says, you can't take anyone back that don't want to be back. Okay? Spot says, nah, we ain't saving these individuals because they won't change. Wool says, be careful what you wish for. You might get exactly what you've asked for. Guys, and another thing I've pointed out is that we should not have honor for the dishonorable. Okay? Stop trying to have honor for dishonorable. If we scroll down here, and this is a poll that I made, there's no place for honor when dealing with the dishonorable. This has 82%. So guys, 2% don't care, 3% said I don't know, 13% disagree with it, a whopping 82% agree. So if there's 1,000 votes, 820 people out of 1,000 agree. However, if you were to look at the comments, it's filled with simps who are refuting these things. Well, I act with honor not for the sake of others, rather for my own sake. Gambit, honor is held within thyself and thy own beliefs. Digital, don't try to wrestle with a pig in the mud. You'll get all dirty and the pig likes it. Let me see here. Righty says, I believe you shall always have honor no matter what or who you deal with. So these are Sims. These are Sims. People who have common sense and reason, they basically voted and walked away, the silent majority. So this does show that there's a large number of people who still have common sense and reason, but they are mostly silent right now. And they're just sitting and watching as everything goes downhill. But of course, all of these Sims, guys, these are Sims. These are Sims. Okay? Aaron says, if it's foaming at the mouth, you take it down. Let history tell the tale of honor. There you go. There you go. All right? Stop trying to save your enemy. Guys, do you understand? These are the kind of idiots that would let people like Judas win. If I'm dealing with Judas, Jesus set an example, but he is God. Okay? If we are dealing with Judas, the notion of turning the other cheek, he is a traitor and a danger to society. You could not let that bastard walk free. These are the types of men saying, turn the other cheek and give him another chance. These people are psychos. You cannot listen to them. They are simps. They are the reason why we are in the situation that we are in right now. Oh my gosh. The king says, if you don't stay honorable, you'll fall into being dishonorable. That said, sometimes the honorable thing to do is dishonorable. What the living hell? Okay. Dane says acting with honor should be the norm, but if people try using that against you, you might need to bend a bit. We do not live in an honorable world, and they will use it against you. This is what's happening. All right? You can only people that have honor deserve honor. That's it. A dishonorable person, a dishonorable society, you have to be willing to go lower than your enemy. All right? You have to go 200 times lower than your enemy. There was someone who said this in my comments. All right? You have to be willing. Look at this. Crazy Coyote. He says, if your opponent says they'll fight fair while they're cheating, then do them 200 times worse than what they did to you. All right? And he's 100% right. Stop trying to have honor for the dishonorable. And guys, if you're enjoying the content, check out the Angry Guy Clubhouse. Inside, you'll get exclusive videos, top tier expat and passport bro travel tips, digital nomad guys, passive income strategies, pop culture and geek culture commentary, and hard hitting manosphere content. Free subscribers have access to videos, podcasts, articles, and the community chat. Plus, receive the passive income blueprint and digital nomad blueprint just for joining. Paid subscribers unlock even more value, including exclusive guides like the How to Build an Online Business in 24 Hours ebook, Wealth Building Blueprints, and crypto updates. Join us today by clicking the link in the description and take your journey to the next level.
Why nearly half of young men aren't dating. And that right there, just the headline, it should be, alarm bells should be going off, because it's my understanding, and you guys will let me know if I'm wrong, that teenage boys have a lot of hormones and they are interested in girls. So the fact that 50% of them aren't dating, what is up with that?
You see, here's the biggest lie ever told. The truth is that that girls are more desperate for guy attention and intimacy than boys are. Boys can be happy as ever playing video games. If boys figure out that it's a bad deal, they lose attraction. It is not hard for a young man to lose attraction. Also, they have something that we did not have growing up right off the bat. There's a video online of like 8 and 9 year olds seeing Mia Khalifa on Omegle, and they started going absolutely insane. Oh my gosh, it's Mia Khalifa, Mia Khalifa. Oh my gosh, it's Mia Khalifa. Why are kids younger than 10 years old celebrating when they see Mia Khalifa? Because they've seen her on the hub. Like Mia Khalifa, Mia Khalifa, Mia Khalifa. Oh my gosh, Mia Khalifa. Do you know what? I watch you all the time on the hub, Mia. Oh my goodness, Mia. You are so pretty, Mia. Guys, this is the society we now live in. Okay? So these kids, they have very easy access to this stuff. They all have cell phones. They're all on the hub. They're all on other platforms that are similar. And they're getting their needs met that way. So they're getting into that from a much younger age than we were. They have these phones, guys. They have these phones. Every single young person today, all right, by 10 years old, very often, some younger already have a smartphone. But definitely by the time they're in high school, they have a smartphone. So they're going to be in their rooms. They're going to be using their smartphone. They're going to basically, meet their needs that way. Go onto the hub or whatever similar platform, whatever they like. It's right there for them. And then after they've sorted that out, they're going to go back to playing video games and chilling, because it's much more pleasurable. Who wants to be out there in the streets dealing with people who don't even want you? They're seeing these videos as well. You have to understand that testosterone levels have gone down substantially in the last 50 years, and especially over the last 20 years. So these young men, these boys, these young men, what's happening right now is they don't have those same raging hormones that we had back in the 80s and 90s. They don't have them anymore. Okay? Large amounts of estrogen that's in the food, that's in everything that they eat, in the water that they drink. It's basically made them more feminine. It's basically robbed them of their natural instincts. Then you have things like M2 and all of the social programming that's damaged them psychologically. These men are losing their attraction. These boys are losing their attraction. So they have all of their needs met. They have food, they have, you know, corn, and they have video games. Why are they going to go look elsewhere for anything else? All right? They're watching videos online, from guys like the Desirable Truth who are going out and doing street interviews. And there's a saying, that just let the fairer sex talk, and they will eventually tell on themselves. And he goes out there, he lets men and women talk, he lets the women talk, and basically they eventually tell on themselves. And these young men see it, and they're like, yeah, not gonna be me. They have the internet, they see what's happened to their fathers, they see what's happened, they see how, guys, women don't even realize how boys are treated in school, how they're treated in organizations. They don't guys, it was horrible for me back in the 90s. So I can only imagine what men are going through today in these horribly feminized institutions where you have no rights. Oh no, oh my gosh. So women are completely disconnected from this. They don't know the experiences of men, nor do they care about the experiences of men, because they are so focused on themselves. The only reason why they're actually taking any interest right now, the vast majority of them, is because men are disappearing from society, and now that's making their own survival quite difficult, because men are the gatekeepers of the relationship. In fact, men are even the gatekeepers of sex. The reason why women ended up gaining this power is quite simple. It's because of the perception of scarcity. As a result of women's liberation and as a result of the pill, women have now been able, and then the internet, women are able to avoid the consequences of, being physically intimate. And then they also have the internet, which allows them access to whomever they want to. So they can go out there, they can be physically intimate with whatever men they want to, and then they can turn around and then find a good man, a beta male, to go and provide for them and protect them, while demonizing men and society as a whole. But now that crap is beginning to come to an end, because even the simps are running away. All right? The simp economy is moving overseas. I hear from you guys telling me all the time that the simp economy is overseas now. And you have these simps walking around in Thailand with bar girls, like the kinds of people that Thai men would definitely never be caught anywhere with. These guys are out there dating them, walking around like they just won the lottery. It's the exact same thing in the Philippines. Like, you have no standards. Like, for example, like, you wouldn't want to be, you don't want to do stuff like this. Like, when I live overseas and I have friends overseas, my friends, I can't go around these types of people. I cannot date these types of people, because you will lose friends. They're like, what are you doing with this? You want to bring this type of person to my parents' house? Like, are you out of your mind? Like, what are you doing with this person? Like, you can't, guys. Sims are an absolute disgrace. Sims are disgraceful. They are disgusting. They are deceitful. They have no standards. They are low value individuals. Like I said, someone said, don't even, they're not human. They are, guys, these people are so dangerous. That's why I say you have to be very careful. Sims have to basically be punished for what they've done. They need to be put on blast. Stop arguing, stop focusing your attention on women, focus your attention on simps. Women are powerless in this world without men. If you direct any type of anger towards these individuals, there will be a bunch of simps and society stepping in to rebuke that. However, if you focus on the simps, society is not going to protect the simps. Simps are not going to protect each other. They are literally out there in the wilderness with a bunch of men that are like, what's up, little bro? What's up? All right, you're running your mouth. You're saying a lot of jazz on the internet. What's up, little bro? And these simps will break down into tears, and they can scream and holler, and they'll tell lies, and they'll say whatever they can to try to get out of it. And you'll say, no, 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 no. We're not talking about anyone else but you. This is about you and only you. Okay, little bro? All right, you brought this onto yourself, right? You brought this onto yourself. Like, there's this scene from Son of Anarchy where you had this guy who had been still wearing, like, he still had the tattoos from the Sons of Anarchy. He was supposed to cover them up. He did not cover them up. They gave him time, and he was still acting like he was a part of the club. And basically, they gave him a choice. Like they took him in, and the tattoos were then removed. And they gave him a choice if he wanted to have them removed surgically or if he wanted to have them, removed using another method. And he chose the other method, and they were removed using the other method. And that just teach guys. These Sims are messing around with men, and they don't understand that men are not playing games. You're dealing the moment that male fury is unleashed and Sims have to face it, they won't have anyone to protect them. So they can have the time of their life right now, but there are serious consequences coming their way. They have basic guys, stop focusing on women, start focusing on Sims, that they are the true enemy of humanity. The state cannot do anything without Sims. Women in society cannot do anything without Sims. They are the ones. That is the key to restoring balance, dealing with the evil, wicked, vindictive Sim.
American Institute for Boys and Men. That's the other. There's so many, like American Institute for Boys and Men, AEI. Just mention all the sources that this comes from. Until very recently, American culture has operated on the flawed notion that teenage dating and sex required little encouragement. Teenage romance was once seen as a natural part of American adolescence. This, it turns out, is completely wrong. Teenage dating is not inevitable, and it's a rapidly disappearing part of the American teenage experience. These relationships often served as inspiration for Hollywood's tragedies and comedies, but in real life, they are frequently formative and incredibly valuable for young people. Moreover, the decline of teen dating may be having an especially pernicious impact on the development of young men. Back in my day, there was dating, dating even as early as like middle school, but it was just kind of like going out, going steady. You know what I mean? But it was definitely a thing, probably too much as far as I'm concerned, because it was a constant thing. That's all us girls were really thinking about was, boyfriends and boys and as
And like I told you guys, women are more into it than men. Girls are into it more than men. All right? Women prior to this modern day era, they are boy crazy. Most guys, when they're growing up, are shy. Most guys will not even approach the girl. They won't talk to the girl. They'd rather play video games and hang out with their friends. And then maybe like one of them will actually notice girls and like, okay, I'm going to shoot my shot. The average guy, you going back 20, 30, 40, even 50 years ago, wouldn't make the move. All right? They'd basically sit it out and say that I'm going to focus on things that I enjoy. And they would leave that type of thing to other men. Now you have an entire generation of men that are walking away. You have guys, all of these losers, the Sims are putting out articles like, oh, men who work out and get in shape and have big muscles and no body fat, these men are more likely to develop heart disease. A recent study found that men who work out and don't have body fat and they're muscular and have the toxic image of what it is to be a man and that many men strive for are less likely to be diagnosed for things like heart disease and diabetes, which means that they are not being treated for these things. Is it that they're not being treated for these things and being diagnosed for these things because they are so healthy that they are not developing diabetes, they're not developing these things, so they don't have to go to the doctor and be screened for these things? A doctor is not going to screen someone that is healthy typically for diabetes. And here's the thing, when you do get screened for diabetes, we all get screened for diabetes, because when we do have like a physical or any such test, they usually will check your glucose level. They'll basically check your A1C levels, and they'll see, if they've changed over a certain period of time. So we are being screened for diabetes, okay? Our, high blood pressure. When we go to the doctor, they check our blood pressure and they make any notes if our blood pressure is high. If it is consistently high, we'll be placed on blood pressure medication. The reason why we are not being diagnosed with those things, if we are healthy men, is because we are healthy men. These simps want to destroy you. These shrimps, they want to destroy humanity. They are enemies of humanity, and this is the reason why you have to stop them. You cannot allow them to have their way. These are evil, vindictive, terrible people. Terrible people, guys. And this is the reason why men going their own way are in hiding. The men are choosing to avoid relationships, avoid society, avoid dating, stay home, play video games, or work out and do something productive. It does not matter, but they're choosing to avoid dating and relationships. They're choosing to avoid a society that HATEs them and live better and happier lives as it burns. More and more men will start disengaging from social media, cutting it off. All right. They have everything they need at home. A lot of guys are moving into emulation, guys. I cannot believe it, but I'm gonna have like my dream laptop, and I can't believe it. I'm like literally ecstatic. It's an Asus ROG Zephyrus. I don't know why I cannot memorize that. Asus ROG Zephyrus G16 16-inch, and it has an OLED display that's 240 hertz, so that's the refresh rate on the display. It uses an Intel Core Ultra 9 processor. It has 32 gigabytes of low power DDR 5X RAM. I wish that I could upgrade it. I wish it was upgradable to 48 or 64 gigs, but this model is unfortunately not. But it does have the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4090. That is the best processor that you can get right now. It has 2 terabytes of SSD storage, and evidently that is upgradable. So I can put in another stick of SSD storage, which will bump it up to which would bump it up to 4 terabytes. That's sick. 4 terabytes. That's basically my GOG library, which is crazy. Like theoretically speaking, I could actually download all of my GOG games, my games on grand. You guys hate that. Good old games from Good Old Games GOG, which is amazing, and because you can download them all offline. I will keep on singing the praises of GOG, and I can have all of my games on this laptop or the ones that I want and play them as well. And this version is better for because you can only get 4090. You can only get up to a 4090 processor with the Intel processor. You cannot get it with the AMD version. If they did have it with the AMD version, I may have gone with AMD if it was at the same pricing because it's more efficient. But you have a 4090 processor here, and the 4070 and 4080 are not that different, but the 4090 blows away the 4070 and the 4080. So, I mean, guys, I've just been spending all my time learning about gaming, like PC gaming and all the specs and all the different things and, bits and pieces. I'm planning to build my own a really sick gaming PC in the future, hopefully in the very near future. But I'm going to settle for this right now. And this is kind of future proof. The only thing that makes it a little bit more difficult, that doesn't future proof it as much, is the fact that it has 32 gigabytes of RAM versus 64, although that's still more than enough, more than likely for at least the next couple of years, because a lot of games right now use a base of 16, but that's like the minimum for a lot of games on Steam right now. That's the minimum for Steam. That's the minimum for this current generation when it comes to PlayStation 5. Granted, a lot of those games on PS5 are also going to the PlayStation 4, and even with the Xbox Series X, it's not using all of that RAM because most people, like somewhere between 80 and 90% of people who own a modern Xbox own a Series S, not a Series X. So the Series X is not selling as well as you would think, and the Series S actually has less RAM in it. So because the Series X has 16 gigabytes of RAM, the Series X I believe has something like between 10 and 12 gigabytes. I think it's 10 gigabytes of RAM. So it's significantly less RAM in there, and games are still running on it. Yes, it may be holding back the generation, but the fact remains it is. So, 16 gigabytes is the base. It's pretty much the base right now, though, for PC gaming, but it's going to change very soon. I think over time, it's going to go up to 32. So in this way, it is definitely future proofing things. I would again love if I could have bumped it up. I could have opened it up. I think the last year's version, the 2023, did allow for upgradable RAM, and I cannot believe that like on this version of the laptop they would not like, especially when it's so expensive. This one actually, it cost this one cost $3,300. I ended up getting a great deal on it though. The deal is actually going to end in less than 2 hours now, so I got a great deal on this laptop. I was actually going to go for the AMD version of it, and it ended up I was actually going to go for the AMD version of the laptop, and it ended up getting like I ended up getting like a little notification in the app that, hey, we have another deal for you. And the AMD version was like $2,300. I was waiting for it to come down a little bit, like around Black Friday, and I was like, I just have to be patient because even though I wanted to order it, I was like, I have to be patient. And then I ended up getting a better deal, getting a notification like, hey, we got a laptop that cost a couple $100s more, but it's the best of the best. Like you cannot get higher specs on most laptops right now, especially specifically on this laptop. This is the highest configuration. So I'm pretty excited for that. And a lot of that benefit is because I'm a single man. I do not have children and I can spend my money on myself and no one else and worry about my own needs. I can be selfish, and that's something that men have to do now. We have to learn to be selfish and to prioritize our own needs above others.
It's interesting to me, again, he's Gen Z. He's acting like it's just always been this way. Teenagers just always date, right? No, sir. Sir. No. That's recent history. For a really long time, teenagers got married. They courted. The girls were teenagers and they got married. So I understand he's going to be like this, only thinking of modern history, post-industrial revolution, post, sexual revolution. There's nothing that happened before that. But that informs these guys, these young women too. Like they have no concept of the past and what we used to be. And let alone, they also don't seem to find it relevant. In the late 1990s, Monroe County, New York, where I grew up, launched the Not Me, Not Now campaign to encourage teens to abstain from sex. In the late 1990s, Monroe County, I'm trying to figure out his age. Sex education classes in my high school offered little information, and conversations about healthy relationships and dynamics were absent. Much of the public and political attention was focused on reducing unfortunate outcomes of teenage sex. The local campaign in my community was part of a national movement to reduce teen pregnancy. The Clinton administration made addressing teenage pregnancy a priority in their first term, proposing a national mobilization to combat it. In 1996, the Department of Health and Human Services launched a national strategy to prevent teen pregnancy. Maybe he's older than I thought. But that's interesting. And also where it talks about that in his high school, it offered little information and conversations about healthy relationships and dynamics, that those things were absent. You're supposed to have that in the home. You're supposed to learn that at home. Maybe you go to school and trial and error with, trying to ask a girl out or trying to be smooth or trying to be likable or trying to figure out, sort of who you are compatible with. But you should learn that at home from your parents. So apparently the good Clintons made this whole prevent teen pregnancy thing. It worked. Teen pregnancy fell steadily during the 1990s and continued to fall over the next 2 decades, mostly because more teens avoided sex altogether.
One of the things that I find pretty hilarious is that you had all of these fathers who were like, oh, I don't want my daughters going out on dates. I want my daughter to become a doctor or a lawyer and all of this. She's my little girl. And now these same fathers are pissed off with their daughters and telling their daughters to settle for any man that comes along because their daughters are now in their 30s and even 40s, and they just want to enjoy their lives, but they can't because their single daughters have no one else. They have no friends. They have no man that's willing to be in a relationship with them. And they have these sky high absolutely sky high requirements for a man. And these fathers don't want to take any accountability for this either. It's like, bro, you raised her this way. You told her to stay away from boys. You told her to go and get that college degree, then get that master's, then get that PhD, and get that MD, and and then take that residency, and then also take that fellowship, and just keep on going and going and going. So now she has all of these, she has a bunch of debt, a bunch of degrees, and very poor relationships in the world. She's definitely been physically intimate with guys, but she's not been able to stay in any real steady relationships with them. And it's been a continuous downhill from there. And you're the one who raised her this way, but you don't want to take any accountability for it. And now you're desperate for her to find just about any man to be in a relationship with. Do you see how crazy these men are? They want to enjoy the relationship with their daughters when their daughters are still young, when their daughters are supposed to be out there looking for a good suitor. When their daughters get older and these men just want to just want to chill, they don't want to take care of these girls for the rest of their lives. And I've seen these idiots in the comments like, you don't know what it's like to have a daughter, Angry. Okay, maybe if you have one day, you'll understand too. That's a level of stupidity. I saw a video from a guy who was interviewed on the street, and they asked him basically what kind of, if your daughter, and I think he had a daughter who was like in her 20s at that point, and they asked him, like, if your daughter wanted to date a man or marry a man that was older, or even older than you, would you allow her to? And he goes, yeah, I would, if he's a good man, if he is a good suitor and a good provider and protector for my daughter. And it blew a lot of men away because this dude is completely based. All right. It was very common in the past for women to marry men who were older than them that were good providers and protectors, and they were usually selected by the fathers. But when you allow women to make these choices, they have so many options that they're not going to settle down. They're going to run around with Chad and Tyrone, and then they are going to basically have the secret plan where they'll get pregnant by Chad and Tyrone, but they'll pretend and act like it's someone else's baby. So they'll have the simp take care of it, or the man who didn't even realize it, the plan B guy, take care of the baby while they're basically getting the best genes. It's something that's done in nature that women have done eternally and will continue to do. But the reality of the matter is that it's not right, and men have to wake up and protect themselves. This is why men going their own way are in hiding. This is why so many men are walking away from society. They want to have nothing to do with society. You have women putting up videos like, why aren't men out shopping? I don't even see men at the grocery store anymore. When do you guys go shopping? Guys, they're just taunting us. I want you guys to know that they know exactly what they've done. They know what they've done. They'll act like they don't. They're not stupid. All right. They're just taunting us at this point. And the smartest thing to do is to let the devil basically have at it. All right. They chose this for themselves. They don't want to be saved. They chose Satan. So let them rock with him. Let the bear bail them out. But guys, what do you think regarding all of this? Men going their own way are in hiding, and this is only going to leave women in the three states of poverty, destitution, and hardship. And a lot of these women are going to be, they're going to find themselves living in very hard times going forward, guys. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.